By now, most of you guys know the outcome. In case you live under a rock, Frank Martin was brutally knocked out 8th round versus Gervonta Davis. This video, I'm going to explain more of the technique and from a technical aspect, what went wrong for Frank Martin and why he got knocked out. And I'm not talking about, oh, Tank's good, so Tank got power, he got knocked out. That's just common sense. We all know that. I'm talking about mistakes and what I seen. A lot of you guys on my last video, I told you in the comment section to put certain keywords if you wanted this video. You guys did that. Appreciate for the support. And here we are. So let's break this down. Act 1, too much respect. There was far too much respect shown, not only in the fight, but before the fight. Examples of this, Frank Martin showing respect to Gervonta Tank Davis, would be the press conferences. I told you in my build-ups, in all the videos, all the content I was making, that Frank Martin lost the press conference. Gervonta Davis was, in essence, checking his temperature and doing little things to chastise him, get the emotional reaction from Frank Martin, and he really succeeded in that, in doing that. He got these reactions out of Frank Martin. Frank Martin seemed out of character. He seemed emotional. And I told you, for me, I didn't like that because Tank has been here before. We already knew that. Frank Martin hadn't. He had never had a fight this big in his career, of this magnitude, anything like that. So you can't let somebody else get you out of your element, out of your game plan. I think little things that Tank was doing, it was working, getting the reaction out of Frank Martin, and therefore Frank Martin played into the skullduggery from the team and probably enhanced his nerves and things like that and impacted how he fought. One of the big things that I noticed, and I know a lot of people didn't make a big deal of it, but to me it was a big deal, was the whole flinching. And keep in mind what I'm telling you here, I said all of this stuff before the fight, before the outcome. So you can listen to me, the king of boxing talk, and my assessment, or you can listen to Brand X. But most of what I'm saying, I'm just putting it in one cohesive video, but a lot of this was predicted and analyzed by me beforehand. So the flinch, why was this a big deal? Because Tank was already winning the press conference, in my opinion. He was trash talking. Frank Martin wasn't necessarily looking at him. Tank was trying to bully him. And he turns around and he says, I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna stop you. Frank Martin is, trying to play it off cool. And he's like, I'm gonna stop you tomorrow, yada, 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 or whatever. I'm gonna stop you this week. And then it happened. The flinch happened. Bow, oh, see, ah, ooh. And look, he bit on the flinch. And you see him jolt, like jump out of his body. I know his name is the Ghost, and then Tank just turns around and laughs and walks away. So he got you out of character. He got the rise out of you. He got the reaction. Frank's still talking. And that was, I'm not gonna say the beginning of the end, but one of those moments. Look, he's still laughing. So he's laughing that he got you out of character. He got you out of position, made you jump, made you flinch. And that gave up a lot of ground. Why else is this important? Because in my opinion, that is more strategic than people believe. Why did Tank do that? Some people are like, oh, he's just doing it to troll. I think personally, Tank was doing that to check Frank Martin's temperature. So he's already bullying you with the trash talking. I'm gonna shut you up. I'm gonna stop you. And then he makes you flinch. So he was trying to check his temperature to look at Frank Martin's reaction time to his movement. And when he did that and made Frank bite on that, to me, why it came back to haunt him in the fight is because if you watch the actual fight, Frank Martin was biting on all of Gervonta Davis's feints. When Gervonta Davis would make these sudden movements, you would almost get an overreaction in the same way from Frank Martin. But this was telegraphed from the moment of the press conference when he made him flinch. Watch right here. Tank feints, boom, overreaction. Look at how that feint, Tank didn't throw any punch. And you see how that feint got Frank Martin overreacting, much like the flinch. Watch again. Step with the feint, overreaction. Tank got him. So like he's shelling up, your body's open, boom, just like the flinch. It's the same thing. So with Frank Martin paying so much respect and overcommitting, that was food for Tank, because Gervonta seemed like he don't know what's coming. He's in a constant reactionary state. He don't know what punches, and I'm not gonna say he's afraid because he's a pro fighter, but to me, this stipulates that Frank Martin knew there was an inherent danger that Tank was possessing. So he was on guard and basically tense. Whereas you look at after the flinch, Tank started laughing. After he bit on that feint, once again, Tank started laughing. Shows me he's in control. Too much movement, Act 2. Now, Frank Martin, ahead of this fight with Tank Davis, he was regarded for his footwork. A lot of people said he had, great ring IQ, and his footwork was up there. In this fight, I think Frank Martin, in those early rounds, yes, he was winning, but Frank Martin was utilizing too much movement. To beat a guy like Tank Davis, you have to slow him down and almost discourage him, give him something to think about. Frank Martin, although he was winning some of the early rounds, he wasn't winning them with authority. That's what I like to say. There's a difference between winning rounds. Like, for example, let's say Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. Tyson Fury won some rounds, but none of them were as authoritative as Usyk's 9th round, right? So that's what I noticed. Frank Martin was keeping his distance a lot versus Gervonta Davis, and he was boxing well to his credit, but it wasn't doing enough to discourage Gervonta Davis because he was on the back foot. And this is a smart play by Team Davis to go and get him. It's a southpaw, and he's not used to someone staying on top of him with that mean presence 24/7. Because most people, like Tank is a dynamic, athletic fighter. He knows he has power. He has power in both hands, and he knows he's explosive. He has a mean streak, and he's fast. So as long as he stays somewhat defensively responsible and doesn't get crushed or hurt with anything big like that just from lacking, then Tank Davis is going to be a threat to any opponent as he encroaches. And the type of pressure he's putting on was a Gennady Golovkin type of pressure where he's just staying on top of you, cutting off the ring. So footwork to me is not the key in those moments to discourage, because if anything, if somebody's stalking you in this Jason Voorhees, this Michael Myers style method where every time you run and you're out of breath and you turn the corner and then Michael Myers is still right there. That was what was happening in this fight with Gervonta Davis. So I think Frank Martin needed to take more stands and sit there and let Tank know that it ain't sweet, and fight fire with fire, because you were only letting Tank grow in confidence. He was putting the pressure burst pipes, and he was making it uncomfortable, and it was making it like a real mugging and smothering fight where every time you tried to move and evade, he was making that ring feel very small. I don't know the actual size of the ring, but I know he was making the ring feel very small and tiny. And the other thing is, you have a muscle-bound dude like Frank Martin who has this big build. In the weigh-in, he looked like a skeleton. So he looked perhaps drained. So if you had a hard weight cut, and credit to Frank Martin, he didn't make any excuses saying the weight cut was the reason that he lost, but we know that the weight cut looked pretty intense, we'll say, for Frank Martin. It looked like the weight cut was a lot. So that's another reason you don't want to burn unnecessary energy when it comes to fighting a guy like Tank Davis, right? You're just burning and wasting energy and burning the midnight oil. And Tank is calm. You haven't really hurt him. He's cool, calm, collect. He keeps stalking, and you're just using footwork trying to evade. You're gonna burn yourself out and get tired. And unless you're on PEDs, everybody naturally is going to fade at some point in the fight and start to taper down. Like a heavyweight fight. When I watched Daniel Dubois versus Philip Ergovich, I looked at the first round and they were swinging for the fences. I was like, man, somebody might get knocked out in this fight because they were going ham and swinging crazy. And I told you guys in the watch party when I was watching that live that there's no way that Daniel Dubois and Philip Ergovich can sustain this type of frenetic pace that they had in round one. You know, these are big heavyweights. They're swinging for the fences and they're throwing the amount of punches of a featherweight. It just wasn't going to last. And if you watch that fight, that's exactly what happened. Later on in the fight, they both started looking sloppy, losing their form a little bit, and got tired. That's what happened with Frank Martin, and that was part of his undoing. He flattened out. He stopped, you know, maybe he was tired from the pressure. Credit to Tank Davis for that strategy. But all in all, it looks like, you know, he was forced, Tank forced him to sit and trade and, you know, languish on the ropes and things like that, which was also a mistake, hint, hint. And when he got tired and flattened out and slowed down, it just made it easier and he became almost a sitting duck, because you're not going to be able to move like that. You're not going to, that's just a lot of effort. You're not going to be able to keep moving like that for 12 rounds, especially being muscle bound and having a tough weight cut. You look at Floyd Mayweather, who's a masterclass boxer. He's never moved. People call him a runner and all this goofy stuff. Floyd don't move like Frank Martin was moving in the first 5 rounds. In fact, it's quite the contrary. If you watch Floyd Mayweather with Canelo, watch the first 3 rounds, he was standing his ground with Canelo Alvarez to see what the kid was about. And then when he seen that Canelo had some pretty fast hands and he was strong, then he backed off and started boxing more. And then he started implementing some more technique where he would bring the fight to Canelo as the fight progressed. But watch the first 3 rounds of Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo. He wasn't senselessly moving around the ring. Now, if you're enjoying this series, let me know by smashing the like button. If you got any value from this video, Acts 1 and 2, I presented my case. If you want me to keep going with Acts 3 and 4, put more acts in the comment section. If enough people type more acts, ACTS, I'll give you Act 3 and 4. But these are my thoughts on some of the things that Frank Martin was doing wrong in the Gervonta Davis fight. Giving Tank too much respect even before the fight. And like I said in Act 2, there was too much movement. And being a muscle-bound, like, brolic dude, you weren't going to be able to sustain that. And Tank closed the distance, continued to close the distance. You were trying to fight off the back foot. I get it. But you weren't doing enough to really warrant the respect of Gervonta Davis, and he just kept coming nonstop over and over until that round started getting real small and you spent too much time on the ropes. Let me know if you guys want me to keep going with this series. Drop that in the comment section. The best in the business, and it's not even close. See, Tank's just cutting off the ring and making him like, body shot Tank. Oh, okay. For these early rounds, I like what Tank's doing. You got this muscle-bound dude, and he's inexperienced at this level. Tank's not really showing him much of anything, but he's still putting in a mean presence and pressure. Golovkin does this too, where it's like Golovkin don't be like, he'll throw a jab or something, but he's dangerous, but he's like just staying on top of you, staying on top of you, staying on top of you. You move that way, I move that way. So he's just like cutting off the ring and putting a nasty presence, even though he hasn't really got off offensively. Okay, Frank Martin with a combo, but a lot of it was blocked. Frank got to get out them corners.
I don't like that. Nice left by Tank. See, I feel like Frank Martin's biting on everything. I don't like that. That's not a good sign to me. Frank Martin, everything is a reaction. Bro, he keeps like, remember I tell you in life is about being proactive more than being reactive. What I'm looking at is Tank is like, what Tank's style is carbon monoxide. Like, you don't realize it, but you in the car and then the carbon monoxide is on and you fall asleep, then you die in the car. You see what I'm saying? Like carbon monoxide, you're not paying attention to it, but if you fell asleep in the whip and the carbon monoxide, it's like slow, it's like a slow grind, like a slow burn. You see, like Martin's right here, his jab is cool, he's boxing, but it's not keeping Tank at bay enough for me. Like you're throwing all these punches and then you keep getting into the ropes. I don't understand that. Hey, that was a sneaky shot. I don't know what. Okay, Martin trying to come alive. Bro, he caught him with a sneaky shot. It was stupid sneaky. Oh, nice two-piece by Tank. See, Martin slowing down right here. Oh, left, 1-2, Tank. Body shot Tank was sneaky. He did a little short body shot. We in round 7, hit the likes. Oh, he just clubbed him. And Frank is shelling up. Oh, like why is Frank, like he's frozen. And he's not countering right now. Bro, 30 seconds left. Frank is just like super, oh, he caught him with a left. Bro, he hurt. Gervonta Davis. Oh, they must have changed at the same time. Oh, nice left by Tank. Bro, they talking about Gervonta Davis. They just showed it again. It looked worse for Frank. The replay looked worse for Frank. They like trade. And he back in them corners. Why? Oh, left, chopping left. I don't know why he keep going back there. See. Oh, battering left. Why is Frank in the corner taking these lefts? Oh, he's down. He's out. He's out. Told you. Told you. He's out. He's out. I told you. Bro, I told you. He on Tank on the. I told you he was out. Bro, he about to hit a backflip. Bro, did they even call it? Bro, he started. I told you. I told you I'm the best. I don't even know if they counted. I don't even think they counted. Tank already knew he got a body. I told you I'm the best in boxing. Slept him.